So this is the story of how I went to a gig by myself and tried to conquer my social anxiety. It's a long weekend and I made some plans with my friend to go to a jazz club. Now my friend, through no fault of her own, she ended up bailing because she's got some food poisoning, and I tried to message anybody I know, all the group chats that I'm part of, to try and see if I can get someone to take over her ticket and go with me, because I'm still kind of keen, and also frankly I don't want to lose a $40 ticket. But unfortunately it looks like I'm gonna have to go by myself, which is fine, but it is a little bit daunting considering I don't do that. But I guess if anything, at the very least, it will be a good opportunity for me to get out of my comfort zone and enjoy the experience of going to a gig by myself and just be there for the music and enjoy my time. So yeah, hopefully it will be okay. I'm kind of psyching myself up to kind of have a good time and try and not think about the fact that I'm being alone or any supposed stigma of going to things by yourself, because I feel like that should be normalized. Yeah, so I'm about to head out, so I'll probably see you guys after the gig. I'm awful at vlogging, but that was pretty fun. It was a little bit awkward during the intermission because there was about like half an hour and wasn't sure what to do, so it was just like scrolling on my phone like, oh. Yeah, I mean, having like a glass of wine certainly did help with the anxiety. Of course, I wasn't expected to like talk to anyone. Alright, it's the next day and I just wanted to give a couple of thoughts on my experience, because I feel like my shaky video at the end didn't really give enough justice to what I wanted to say. I had a lot of fun. I mean, it is a jazz concert, so it's not a super party dance type of vibe, but I think like going by myself really like made me have to be immersed in the music, and I was able to enjoy it without any interruptions, which was a really good thing, especially since the music was really good. Yeah, like I think it's still like being able to be fully immersed and focused on the musicians and what they were doing made me appreciate the music a lot more and made me think about how different elements of different instruments come together. Yeah, apart from that, I think I was the most anxious coming into the venue because I didn't want to come off as that kind of loner person that everybody's like looking at and wondering like what her problem is, why doesn't she have any friends? But like once I got there, it wasn't as scary and I wasn't as self-conscious. I think I was a bit self-conscious whilst the music wasn't playing. I came about maybe half an hour or so early because that's when they opened the bar, and I thought, I'll just get my seat, get a drink. So that half an hour of just kind of sitting down was a little bit awkward. And another thing, that there was an intermission of about half an hour, but things that didn't say how long it was going to be. I didn't want to be in a position where I get up and end up wandering around and coming back to see the music already playing. Like thought that would be the worst thing that could happen. But no, like I just ended up sitting on my phone, which I kind of regret, but I also didn't really have much else to do. Yeah, I guess I forgot where I was going with this, but I think a lot of the anxiety that comes from me is being perceived as weird by other people. And when your attention is diverted away to some activity like watching a movie or watching a musician perform, it's not so bad because you know that everybody else's attention is also on that thing. But then during the moments of lull, when you're waiting for something, that's when people are talking to their friends or their partners or whatever. And that's kind of the moment where I feel at most anxious. Apart, of course, from having to overanalyze the situation before I even get to the venue. But I guess, yeah, it was a bit of like a good practice for me to be comfortable with waiting by myself. I mean, granted, I could have not scrolled on my phone and, you know, tried to take in the surroundings a bit more. But yeah, I think it's good to kind of not have to rely on another person to make you feel more at ease in a social situation. I guess, yeah, going to gigs, how anxious you might feel might depend on the type of context that the gig is in, if that makes sense. At a concert where there's a lot more people, everyone's just kind of like standing sort of side by side, I might have felt a bit less anxious just because everyone's already so anonymous in the crowd that I could just get lost in it. Whereas like this setting was a lot more intimate. It was kind of a, I don't know how to describe it, like a cabaret style, I guess, where you had some tables, seats in the middle. So that's one thing, like I didn't want to take up a seat in the middle, like have an entire table to myself. It's a little bit selfish in my view. And then there was like sort of individual bar seating, like you still kind of had like a long table and like a row of seats. So that's where I sat. And I guess like, yeah, because of the seating, it wasn't as dense as some places are, which made me a little bit feel like I was almost on stage myself. I guess this type of venue does have advantages that it's not like as loud or boisterous, so it might be less intimidating for some people. And I guess it's also good to meet other people who are going by themselves. I did see a couple of people, but meeting new people wasn't my intention, and it's still pretty daunting to me to like go up to a stranger. Kind of wanted to end by giving some tips in case anyone is faced with a situation where they have to go to a gig or somewhere that people normally go with a friend by themselves. The first one would be to remind yourself that everybody is a lot more focused on themselves than they are with you. Like, this is something that I try to remind myself in practically every social situation, but it's very hard to keep in mind and sort of practice. But it is true. People are very preoccupied with themselves, and if you operate on kind of a level that, well, everyone's anxious and everybody's thinking about how they're acting. And when I think back to like the people who I saw at the venue, like I can't really remember too much of them. They were all kind of relatively normal people coming to enjoy the place. And that's because of course, I was a lot more preoccupied with myself. And if you kind of have this mindset going that everybody's focused on themselves as you are with you, if that makes sense, then it might make it a little bit easier to not feel as awkward. Another tip, which I think is a little bit more practical, especially if you're going by yourself somewhere at night, is to make sure that you have someone that knows where you are. And I think it helps to have someone who is empathetic and that you can like message them for support so that they can kind of hype you up and give you that little boost of confidence. So my last tip is to remember to enjoy the moment. You're not here to be judged yourself. You're not that special. It is more about the thing that you came for. It is about the artist that you came to see. It is about I don't know, whatever the play or the film or the food that you came for by yourself. And, you know, despite not having anyone to go with you, you're making that effort to go see or do that thing. So you might as well embrace it and try and devote all of your attention to it, rather than just like spending all your time worrying about yourself. You will enjoy the moment more the more you are immersed in it. And lastly, this is something I just sort of thought of on the fly, but practice makes perfect. So I think the more that I go to these things by myself and practice my independence and practice even being confident and extroverted, the better I'll become at it. And I was thinking back to how a little bit anxious I felt traveling at night. Like, it wasn't that late, and I used to work night shift and used to come back on public transport quite late from my hospitality jobs. And I just thought it was quite weird that I was a bit scared to go out by myself at 7:30 at night. which is not really late at all. And that's probably just because over the past couple of years, I haven't been out that late. I haven't been working in hospitality. And also because I've just been working 9 to 5, anytime I was going out in the evening, it was usually for social purposes and it was usually with someone. So yeah, practice makes perfect. I mean, of course, like it is good to have like a level of vigilancy about you late at night. But I think that kind of tidbit like really solidified that I'm just not used to social situations by myself. And part of that anxiety is due to a lack of practice in it. Okay, and with that, I will log off. I hope my ramblings were semi-coherent. I really did not prepare for this. I wasn't going to make this video in the first place. This is something that just came up and I thought it was quite like a learning experience that I should document and look back when I'm much more confident in the future.